All right, so we have Rod Hannafy here from Australia. Welcome to the show, Rod.
Thank you very much, mate.
So tell us what the heck you're doing here. We're in Toronto, Canada. You and I met in the same building, which is just the weirdest thing. But anyway,
it's the industry that's pulled us together,
yes.
and that's what's brought us here.
Yeah.
I'm a full-time driver in Australia.
Okay.
And about 20 years ago, I had one of those days when you think, what's next?
Yeah.
I'd slept in the truck, hadn't even made it to highway speed,
Yeah.
and I looked and there was a car behind me. I thought, oh yeah, but this other car overtook me as there was another B-double coming the other way.
Yeah.
Both trucks off onto the dirt, the car up the middle, two little kids sitting in the back of the car.
Oh, wow.
And we had a big sign on the back of the fuel tank where I was driving. My conduct as a professional driver is on display. So I rang the police.
Yeah.
And actually the car behind, the truck driver said, get that car number, ring the police.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, I was too busy hanging onto the steering wheel to get the number. But the bloke behind in the initial car, I got a radio, mate, I'll go. So he passes me, goes up, calls me back with him, and I rang the police.
Yeah.
I said, this is what's happened. Now it's 100 kilometres to the next town.
Yeah.
But as I drove through, over on the side road, here's the police with that car pulled up.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, okay, well that's good, maybe they'll learn. Now they did pass me again about half an hour later, and I thought, well now they're going to bring up and dog me in for dobbing them in.
Yeah.
Didn't get that phone call. 4 hours up the road, I'm coming down a steep hill onto a bridge, and it was a pretty narrow looking bridge.
Yeah.
So I've just flashed the lights at the F250 forward coming the other way to say, lift your foot off the accelerator, give me a second.
Yeah.
No way, no. Straight onto the bridge, miss him by a centimetre, miss the bridge by a centimetre, and that's two, and I think, things come in threes, what's next?
Yeah.
What do I do about this? So I then asked the company that I work for, could I put a survey out amongst the drivers? And that asked them, what do we need to do to teach car drivers about sharing the road with trucks? Now, of course, in a company of about 400 or 500 drivers at the time, I probably got 30 or 40 replies.
Yeah.
And our blokes are very cynical.
Yeah.
For 20 years, we've been asking for better roads, better rest areas, and education of motorists.
Yeah.
We haven't really touched one of those properly.
Yeah.
But having got that back, I thought, well, that worked. You know, I got some good views.
Yeah.
Then I went to Owner Driver magazine and I said, look, this is what I've got from the company, but I need a wider view.
Right.
Would you print this? Oh yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
So they consolidated all those again, and that came up to the Truckies Top 10 Tips for Sharing the Road.
Okay.
So I've been promoting that for 20 years.
Okay.
It's on websites, it's on pages, and on the back of that B-double, on one side it says this month's Truckies Top 10 Tip, and on the other side is the tip, and I rotate those tips every month.
Nice.
I wrote to 200 companies in Australia to say this is working.
Yeah.
If we had one truck on every highway in 5 years, we'd educate so many people.
Yeah.
Not one of them would do it.
No.
Oh, the driver won't look after it, it's too hard, the colour doesn't match, it doesn't suit. But anyway, that's their loss.
Yeah.
So then the more you do, the more you get involved in.
Yeah.
I started a thing called the Caravan Survey. Because in Australia we used to use CBs like you did.
Yeah.
But we have all these offshore fishing boats, and I was 400 kilometres from the water this day, and they were blowing me out of the cabin. So we've all now gone to UHFs, which is why I couldn't bring a radio over here to talk to truck drivers. But the caravanners get on channel 40, which is our channel, and they're, oh Mabel, do you feel like a cup of tea? Those flowers were pretty, and we're trying to tell them the road's closed or there's something serious happening.
Yeah.
So I've got a channel of their own, which is channel 18.
Okay.
And I've got that done through the Australian Communications Authority. It's recognised, and a lot of the vans have on the back Channel 18, Bill and Sue.
Right.
So when you go to a caravan park, it's good for them. When we're on the road, instead of calling up the caravan, because UHF has a 10-kilometre range each way, you can't just call up the caravan because you don't know who you're going to get. So we call, copy Bill and Sue in the caravan. I'm behind you. I know the road. Once we go around this corner, if there's nothing coming, I'll overtake. Because again, what happened with that, I was following a caravan. I pulled out the first time to overtake, something appeared in the distance, I backed off, and I'm in a fully loaded B-double with fuel on. Second time I pulled out, he's watching me instead of the road. He nearly ran into the side of the truck and I was off in the dirt missing him. And I thought, this is not going any better.
No.
The third time, he thought he moved over for me, but it was a turning lane and that nearly became a catastrophe. And I thought, there's got to be a way to talk to them. And I was listening to our talkback radio in Australia one day, and this lovely little granny, and they said, what annoys you on the road? So I rang in and I said, look, the caravanners, they've got the radio, but they don't listen. 2 calls later, this lovely old granny rang in, oh, we bought a radio, and, you know, we turned it on and the language was so bad and we turned it off. And I thought, that's a problem. We don't want them talking about the flowers and the cup of tea on 40, and they won't listen to our bloke saying, my boss is an Evan.
Yeah, we get that too.
So we get, that's exactly right. So we got them a channel of their own.
Yeah.
And that's, I've had an enormous impact into the caravan community. I go to caravan shows and I do seminars, and it's the same thing. Everyone that you educate, and you can't tell them what to do, you can offer them advice, which is not available to them anywhere else. When they get their licence, it's not there. When they buy their caravan, it's not there. None of the insurance companies teach them. But they do what they believe is the best intent. And we have an issue where you'll be going along and the caravaner will think, oh, truck behind me, I'll slow down and help him. But they then move half off the road. So the van's swaying and throwing rocks at you, and the bloke's hanging on for grim death. And of course you're thinking, well, you haven't made the road any bloody wider. There's a truck coming down the way. It's not like you can do in Harry Potter, squeeze the bus.
That's right,
And so we educate them now. We say, when we come up behind you, we want you to ignore us until we pull out to overtake. Maintain your speed, maintain your position, because then I've got an idea what you're doing. Don't move off, it doesn't make the road any wider, and it's only going to scare you. But I can judge your speed and I know what I need to do. Once I pull out beside you, then lift your foot off the accelerator. Once I'm past, give me a flash to tell me that you're happy for me to move back in. And that communication is just so valuable on the road with them. We all have it. We're used to living with it, although it's dying now because of phones.
It's dying up here too, we're having the same problem.
So that's the thing. So that was another thing I've been involved in. Then a bloke said to me, well, you can't tell car drivers what to do if we don't have something. So I have the truckies on road code. So I can say, well, here, when they say to me, but what are you doing about those bloody bad truck drivers? I can say, well, here's the code. Here's what we asked them to do. We've now started the Truck That Australia Drivers Club. We're trying to get people involved. And I've been ringing road authorities in Australia for years. Now, the first time I rang up, this bloke said, oh, what's your problem? And I said, there's this really bad dip and it's dangerous and I'm in a fuel tanker and it's throwing it everywhere. And he said, we don't get many truck drivers ring up. And I said, oh, okay. To his credit though, he went out and fixed it. He got his bum kicked because it ended up being a bigger job. But he fixed the problem. And I thought, that worked, so I just keep ringing up. So now I get drivers to ring, and I've had the issue where I was going along one night and there's this big pothole, and I called the truck up in front. I said, what do you think of that pothole? Oh, geez, that was bad. I said, well, ring this number. Hang on, yeah, righto. In the end, he rings up, and I waited 10 minutes, and I rang up. And of course, the lady who's there, and I say to our blokes, you can't ring up and abuse them. They're not the person responsible, but they will take the call and hopefully do something about getting it fixed. And I ring up and the lady said, oh, we've had a couple of calls about that. I said, must be really bad, eh? Maybe you better get that fixed.